Hey everybody, I'm going on run and coming to you from my local Starbucks hotspot. I mentioned pumpkin spice in my other video, but they just gave me a free sample of one and it was really pretty good. Lots of whipped cream in there though, I think that might be part of the secret. So, I know that I've been doing a lot of kind of political videos and a lot of, what's going on with my life type of videos. But one thing I also do on this channel is, you know, kind of pop culture stuff and reviews. Sometimes reviews of guitar products and stuff like that, but also sometimes television shows. And I think the big problem where I wasn't doing that for a while was because I just haven't really liked much modern TV. So I've just been kind of trying to, and I also don't have access to Netflix anymore, so I have to try and get a hold of these things the other way, or the other way, a different way. Uh, Anyhow, I don't know if I've really been clear about this, but I work with my father, so we do a lot of driving together for this telecom job, and a lot of times, one of the things we talk about is movies and TV shows. He mentioned to me last time we were in Oklahoma a couple days ago that he had been watching this new Netflix show called KAOS. I am a big fan of Jeff Goldblum, and he's in this show. He actually plays Zeus. Uh, and I thought that I would give it a watch. Um, and I just finished the series last night. It's only one season right now, and since it's Netflix, that's all we might wind up with, even though it's totally set up for a second season. I hope they at least do a second season and tie everything up. But again, it's Netflix, so if that's not going to be profitable, they're not going to do that. But I would say that, and again, I'm not really a big fan of modern television or modern streaming shows, but I thoroughly enjoyed this show. Now, I did have a few issues with it. Um, they have not. They have kind of. I think my biggest problem with it would be that they have really stepped away from a lot of the base kind of myths. Uh, they're just assuming that I think that a lot of people haven't researched this stuff or don't know much about it, and that's probably a good assumption, right? Um, but at the same time, it's in this weird sort of world. For one thing, the entire show takes place in Crete, right? But it's Crete like now. Even though a lot of the cars look like they're from the 70s, I think it's now because I think the first car that you see in the show is a Prius. So I think it's now, but it it feels like the 70s kind of. And people people in Crete believe in gods still, and to a certain extent, people sort of know they exist. Um, they straight up appear to certain people and stuff like that. Um, and uh, it's sort of like the Walter White situation. People watch Breaking Bad and they root for Walter White. Walter White's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. Okay? He's a great character. That doesn't necessarily make him the hero. Okay? So Zeus is a great god, but that doesn't make him a good dude. And it's kind of interesting seeing Jeff Goldblum play this character who's sort of an unmitigated bastard. Um, and he's surprisingly good at that. Uh, the actress that they have, I don't want to spoil things too much. The actress that they have playing Hera is really amazing. Um, the actress that they have playing, or the actor they have playing Poseidon, I recognize him from some things. He he's really good. Um, he might be a bigger bastard in some ways than even Zeus, but he tends to just be more out there about it. Rather, like you get, there's a bunch of subversive stuff about. Did you see the Jeff Goldblum thing I did there? There's a bunch of subversive stuff that comes along with Zeus, whereas Poseidon's a lot more like, hey, I told you to do a thing, and it's not a plan, it's an order. Just keep that in mind next time. The other interesting thing that about this series is that everybody, that's humans and gods alike, are associated with a prophecy. Some of them with the same prophecy. That's kind of how prophecies work out. There are prophets, there are fates, there are furies. Eddie Izzard is in this show. I tend to think he was a funnier dude before he made the transition. That's just, my personal feelings on it. But he's really good in this show, like he usually is. By the way, if you guys haven't seen an older '90s movie, a '90s superhero movie called Mystery Men, Eddie Izzard plays a really good character in that. You ought to check that out. Probably my favorite superhero movie, like ever. But the other thing about this show is, how do I say this? There's a lot of hedonism in it, in the way that the ancient gods used to be hedonistic, if you know what I mean. They're not real picky about where they get their kicks from. So there's a lot of that type of stuff in the show. If you have problems with things like depictions of like serious on-screen homosexuality, for example, it might not be your kind of show. But there's a lot of that in it. We are talking about a very hedonistic and selfish group of people. Not only are the gods very hedonistic and selfish, a lot of the people in power, like Minos, for example, are kind of also somewhat like that. So there's that. The effects in it are pretty good. There's the CGI in it is pretty good. A lot of you might know that I studied to be a graphic artist, but I dislike CGI. In fact, it was all the CGI stuff that kind of led me to just get tired of studying graphic arts. I got through all the 2D stuff and really enjoyed that. When I started having to work on 3D a lot, it was just sort of, I kind of saw the writing on the wall. And I think if you notice 3D in a movie, it wasn't done well. And I do notice it because I'm kind of a graphic artist, but I think anybody would notice some of this stuff. It's basically a modern retelling. Not even really that modern, and not even really a retelling. They're just in the modern era right now, and they're still around. And again, some people know about them. For example, instead of Christmas, there are no examples of Christianity in the show, as far as I can tell. So instead of Christmas, they have Olympia Day, which is it's like their biggest holiday. And the show kind of starts around an event that happens on Olympia Day. There are acts of violence to babies in this show, animals. So you're going to have to be comfortable with that if you're going to watch this thing. But I think if you put all of that aside and really take the show for what it is, and especially take Jeff Goldblum for what he's doing, it's really quite brilliant. The thing I don't tend to like about it is the changing of the myths. Dionysus is a big part of this show. He's a huge character in it. And Hercules is mentioned, but it's almost as though this might be a light spoiler here, but so if you don't want to listen to this, don't. I'll clap when I'll snap when I'm done talking about it. It's almost as though Zeus is trying to hide the fact that Hercules is his son. Or there's something going on, because there is a scene where something goes bad on Olympia Day, and Zeus gets a little butthurt about it, and he starts calling all his kids who don't answer the phone. They love him that much, and he calls everybody but Herc, who it turns out his actual Greek name is Heracles. Hercules is apparently the Roman translation of his name. So he calls everybody but Herc, and it's weird. He mentions Herc one time in regards to a gift that was given to him. So there's that. And there are a few other instances like that in the show. But again, the show's only half about the gods anyway. There's another side plot. I don't even want to call it a B plot because it's a little more serious than that. But there's another parallel plot running with the gods plot that's really good and important as well. I think one of the shining gems to the series is also Prometheus. That's another story that's changed a little bit. He mentions the whole fire thing, but then he sort of also mentions that really it's because he betrayed Zeus. And it's kind of funny in the show, he's always teleporting Prometheus away from the rock and back to Olympus, to work out his problems with. And then the second that Prometheus says something that's valuable enough or that Zeus doesn't really like, he just sends him right back. It does look like sheer hell. But anyway, like I said, I've pretty thoroughly enjoyed the show. I don't really see how it could go past 2 seasons, though. I think this is going to be like a 2-season show if we're lucky to get a second season. So, if you have the opportunity to check it out, go ahead and check it out. I would like your opinions on it if you've already seen it. If you're going to lay a spoiler in the comments, though, please make that the first line in your comment so we don't ruin the show for other people. Thanks for listening to my review. If you went to the end, I hope to actually get into a more Steve Shives style kind of, I hate to use another YouTuber, but just the kind of style of video editing he does. I really like that. I hope to be able to start doing that at one point with my series reviews and stuff like that. So hopefully it'll get a little better than just me sitting here talking to you from a hotspot. Sorry about the background noise. Consider subscribing to my channel. I'm trying to grow. You all have a nice day. This is Goy Monroe and signing off.